Prayer for healing body, soul, and mind. Every day we wake up carrying more than the weight of our own body. We carry invisible loads, anxiety that tightens the chest, regrets that echo in silence, thoughts that refuse to rest when night falls. Some of these burdens we recognize, others remain hidden, disguised behind strength, productivity, or a smile that convinces the world that everything is fine. Yet deep inside, something whispers that the soul is tired. The body longs for renewal and the mind desperately needs quiet. This video is not about repeating words or memorized verses. It is an invitation to experience prayer as a profound turning point, where healing flows beyond the surface and touches the deepest layers of who you are. When we talk about healing, most people think only of physical recovery, but true healing goes further. It embraces the soul that still bleeds from old wounds, the mind entangled in loops of fear, and the spirit that feels distant from peace. Imagine for a moment that healing is not something you chase, but something that is already waiting within you, ready to awaken as soon as you give permission. Science shows us that the body responds to inner states. Andrew Huberman explains how our nervous system listens to every thought, how stress tightens muscles, raises blood pressure, and drains energy. And yet, the same system that amplifies pain can also amplify peace when guided toward it. Philosophy reminds us that clarity comes when we stop resisting truth. Descartes believed in breaking reality down to its essence. I think, therefore I am. If we adapt this to our own healing, it becomes, I feel, therefore I can transform. What you feel right now is not a verdict. It is a signal. Fatigue, sadness, or confusion are not enemies. They are messengers pointing to where restoration must begin. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the obstacle is the way. Your suffering, rather than being a wall, can be the doorway that leads you into wholeness. This prayer is not meant to silence your pain as if it doesn't exist. It is here to realign your being, to show you that healing is not a miracle reserved for others, but a natural process you are capable of accessing. Each word that you will hear is an anchor, designed to slow down racing thoughts, to soften the grip of old emotions, and to invite your body to breathe in a new rhythm of calm. In this journey, we will not only ask for healing, we will embody it. We will allow body, soul, and mind to meet again in a harmony that has been waiting to be restored. Healing begins when you recognize that you deserve to be whole. It is not weakness to ask for renewal. It is courage to admit that you are more than what pain has tried to make of you. As Judith S. Beck teaches in cognitive therapy, change begins when we identify unhelpful patterns and replace them with structures that nurture life. This is exactly what prayer does. It reframes despair into hope, tension into release, and loneliness into connection. Every breath you take in this moment can be a reminder. You are not broken beyond repair. You are in the process of becoming whole again, awakening the need for healing. Look closely at your own life for a moment. Beneath the routines, deadlines, and endless responsibilities, there is often a silent struggle taking place. The body aches from pressures it never had time to release. The soul carries unspoken grief, regrets that still echo from years past, and emotions that have never found a safe place to rest. The mind spins in circles, trapped in loops of anxious questions. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if this pain never leaves me? Most people never stop to notice this inner weight until it becomes too heavy to carry alone. That is why healing begins not in denial but in awakening, recognizing that something inside is asking for change. This moment is that awakening. It is not about escaping reality or pretending to be invincible. It is about admitting the truth. You are human, and humans need restoration. Science tells us that unaddressed stress alters the brain's chemistry, increases cortisol, and slowly weakens the immune system. Andrew Huberman has shown how thoughts of fear can activate the same neural circuits as physical pain, meaning that the mind and body are far more connected than we realize. But the same science also shows the path forward. When we shift focus, when we choose peace over chaos, the body responds, the mind rewires, and the soul breathes again. Think of prayer not as a ritual, but as an alignment. Just as Descartes believed clarity emerges when we strip life down to its essence, prayer helps us see what truly matters beneath the noise. It awakens awareness that the aches of the body, the wounds of the soul, and the storms of the mind are not separate battles. They are intertwined threads of the same fabric. To heal one, you must invite healing into all. That is why this journey will not fragment you into parts, but will bring you back into wholeness. The Stoics remind us that suffering is never meaningless. Seneca wrote that difficulties strengthen the mind as labor strengthens the body. In the same way, the pain you feel now can become the very ground where transformation grows. To awaken to healing is to see pain not as an enemy, but as a guide pointing you toward a deeper truth, that you were never meant to carry this weight alone. Healing is waiting for you the moment you stop resisting and start listening to what your body, soul, and mind have been trying to tell you. Entering the sacred space of stillness. Before true healing can flow, there must be stillness. The noise of daily life, the constant stream of thoughts, the endless alerts and responsibilities, all of these scatter your energy and keep your mind in survival mode. To step into healing, you must first step out of the noise. Imagine closing a door behind you and entering a sacred space where silence is not empty but alive, where every breath reconnects you with the center of who you are. This is the threshold where prayer begins to work, not as words spoken quickly, but as presence felt deeply. Science confirms what the spirit has always known. Slow, intentional breathing tells your nervous system that you are safe. The parasympathetic branch, the part that restores balance, activates, lowering heart rate and releasing tension from muscles. Andrew Huberman has shown that even 2 minutes of deliberate, calm breathing can rewire your state of mind. In that stillness, your brain circuits quiet, your body relaxes, and your soul becomes receptive. Prayer is not heard more clearly when shouted. It is heard when the inner noise fades and the heart opens. Picture this moment as sacred ground. When the Stoics spoke of tranquility, they referred not to the absence of struggle but to the ability to remain unmoved within it. Stillness is not an escape, it is strength. It is choosing to rest in an inner sanctuary no matter what storms rage outside. Descartes taught us to doubt everything until clarity emerges, but here stillness is the tool that clears the fog, allowing your true self to surface beyond confusion. As you breathe and become present, you will notice how the layers of worry begin to peel away. The mind slows, the soul feels lighter, the body softens into its natural rhythm. You are no longer reacting, you are simply being. This is where divine healing energy meets you, not in chaos but in calm, not in hurry but in surrender. By entering this sacred stillness, you open the door for healing to flow through every part of your being, preparing you for what comes next in this journey. The whisper of the body. Your body has been speaking to you all along, though most of the time its voice is drowned out by rushing thoughts and external demands. The whisper comes as fatigue that doesn't vanish after sleep, as tension in the shoulders that never fully releases, as a racing heartbeat that seems to arrive without reason. Pain, discomfort, or illness are not random intrusions. They are messages, signals from the body trying to draw your attention to places where healing is needed. To ignore them is to silence the very messenger that could guide you back to balance. Science shows us that the body stores memory just as powerfully as the mind. Studies in neuroscience and psychology reveal how unresolved emotions manifest physically. Anxiety creating shallow breathing, grief settling as heaviness in the chest, anger raising blood pressure. Andrew Huberman explains how the nervous system registers both real and imagined stress the same way, meaning your body cannot always tell the difference between a past trauma and a present threat. But the beauty of this truth is that prayer, when combined with awareness, can help reprogram this cycle. The same circuits that have been wired for tension can be rewired for peace. Think of prayer here as a healing dialogue. When you invite divine presence into your body, you are not simply hoping for change. You are aligning with the very design of your being. Each breath becomes a way of saying, "I hear you, I am listening." This attentive awareness transforms the body from a battlefield into a partner in healing. Descartes once said that the body and soul are deeply intertwined, and though centuries have passed, neuroscience now affirms this ancient insight. What happens in the body influences the soul. What shifts in the soul ripples back into the body. The Stoics encouraged us to honor the body, not by indulging it, but by respecting its limits and listening to its needs. To hear the whisper of your body is to reclaim responsibility over your own well-being. It is to stop treating pain as an interruption and start treating it as a compass. Prayer gives that compass direction. As you acknowledge the signals your body sends, you allow divine healing energy to flow into the exact places that ache the most. And in that moment of acknowledgement, the first layer of restoration begins. Releasing the burden of the soul. There are wounds no one else can see, yet they weigh heavier than any physical pain. The soul remembers what the mind tries to forget, words spoken in anger that still echo, moments of loss that never found closure, silent disappointments that quietly piled up through the years. These memories become invisible chains, shaping how you feel, how you love, and how you trust. To heal the soul is to release these burdens, to stop carrying what was never meant to be carried forever. Psychology teaches us that unprocessed emotions do not simply vanish. They settle deep within us, resurfacing through mood, behavior, or even physical health. Judith S. Beck shows in cognitive therapy how distorted beliefs, "I am unworthy," "I am alone," "I will never heal," are often born from old pain and continue to shape our present. Neuroscience adds that emotional memories are stored in the amygdala, influencing how we react to every new challenge. Yet the same brain that has been conditioned by pain can also be rewired for peace when forgiveness and release take place. Prayer here becomes a balm, a softening agent that loosens what guilt, grief, or fear have hardened. It is not about erasing the past, but about releasing its hold on the present. Imagine each burden of the soul as a stone you've been carrying in a bag over your shoulder. Every word of prayer removes one stone, lightening the load until you can finally stand upright again. Seneca wrote that he who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary. Prayer invites you to stop rehearsing pain, to step out of the cycle of reliving old wounds, and to trust that letting go is not forgetting, but choosing freedom. This release is not weakness, it is strength. It is the decision to stop identifying with the weight of yesterday and instead allow your soul to be renewed today. In this moment, prayer reminds you that you are not defined by your past but refined by it. Just as fire purifies gold, your struggles can purify your spirit when surrendered. Releasing the burden of the soul creates space for light to enter, for joy to return, and for healing to deepen. It is in that release that the soul learns to breathe again. Calming the storm of the mind. The mind is often the loudest battlefield. Thoughts rise like crashing waves, one colliding into another, leaving no space for clarity or peace. Worries about the future, replayed mistakes from the past, the constant whisper of self-doubt. Together they form a storm that steals rest even in moments of silence. To live with an unsettled mind is to walk with a storm above your head that never clears. But prayer, when deeply embraced, becomes the anchor that steadies the ship. It does not stop the waves from moving, but it gives you the strength to navigate through them without sinking. Modern psychology explains that anxious thoughts are often repetitive loops created by the brain's survival system. David M. Clarke's studies in cognitive behavioral therapy show how fear distorts reality, exaggerating threats and making you believe danger is always near. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain's default mode network is prone to overthinking, dragging you into scenarios that may never happen. But here lies the power of intention. When you interrupt these loops with structured prayer, the brain begins to shift. You are giving your thoughts a new rhythm, replacing chaos with order, fear with reassurance, noise with clarity. Prayer in this moment works like reframing. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, the mind is directed toward what can be healed. Each word spoken in prayer functions like a new script for the brain to follow. Andrew Huberman describes how neuroplasticity allows us to reshape thought patterns by creating fresh associations. When prayer declares peace, when affirmations like "I am safe, I am guided, I am loved" are repeated with intention, the brain wires itself to believe and embody them. The Stoics often reminded us that the mind is our kingdom, and no external force can rule it unless we allow it. By calming the storm of the mind, prayer reclaims that kingdom. The winds of doubt begin to settle, the fog of fear starts to clear, and what remains is a horizon wide and open, filled with possibility. In this quiet, you rediscover authority over your own inner world. You see that peace is not the absence of storms, but the ability to remain steady within them. Through prayer, the storm does not define you. It transforms you. The river of forgiveness. There is a kind of healing that medicine cannot touch, a wound that no remedy on the outside can cure. It is the wound created by resentment, by unforgiven moments, by the sharp memory of betrayal or the heavy regret of our own mistakes. These experiences stay inside like stagnant water, clouding the soul, feeding bitterness, and keeping the heart closed. Forgiveness is not about excusing what was wrong or pretending it never hurt. It is about unclogging the river so that life can flow again. Psychology shows that holding on to resentment keeps the stress response activated, flooding the body with cortisol and adrenaline as if the wound were still fresh. The nervous system cannot distinguish between the memory of the event and the present moment, which means the pain is relived again and again. But neuroscience also reveals something extraordinary. When we choose forgiveness, the brain's reward circuits light up, releasing dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals that create relief and connection. Forgiveness literally changes the chemistry of the mind and body, making space for healing to enter. Prayer becomes the river that carries these burdens away. As you release the names, the faces, even your own reflection in the mirror, into the hands of the divine, the water begins to move again. Imagine those heavy stones of anger and shame dropping into the river and being carried out of sight. You don't have to carry them anymore. Descartes taught us to seek clarity by removing what clouds perception, and here, forgiveness is that act of removal. It clears the waters so the soul can see itself again without distortion. The Stoics also spoke of this truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In other words, clinging to hurt binds you to it while releasing it sets you free. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is an act of sovereignty over your own heart. In this sacred act, prayer softens what time alone could not. It transforms bitterness into wisdom, regret into compassion, and brokenness into openness. The river flows once more, carrying you toward freedom, renewal, and inner peace. Light flowing through every cell. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that light is not something outside of you, distant and unreachable, but something entering every part of your being right now. Picture it moving gently through your head, down your neck, through your chest, arms and legs, until even the smallest cell within you is illuminated. This light is not ordinary. It is healing light, divine in essence, carrying renewal, balance, and restoration. Where there was tension, the light brings release. Where there was pain, it brings relief. Where there was emptiness, it fills with presence. Neuroscience shows us that visualization has measurable effects on the body. When the mind vividly imagines an experience, the brain activates the same neural circuits as if it were happening in reality. This means that when you envision healing light flowing through you, your body begins to respond as though healing is physically occurring. The heart rate slows, muscles relax, and the immune system strengthens. Science confirms what faith has always proclaimed, that belief and imagery are powerful channels of transformation. Philosophically, this light represents clarity. Descartes sought to strip away doubt until truth was revealed, and here the light is truth cutting through the shadows of fear and confusion. Spiritually, it symbolizes divine presence, God's energy moving freely within you, touching places you cannot reach on your own. The Stoics would remind us that inner strength often comes not from external victories, but from the quiet power of alignment within. This light is that alignment, reuniting body, soul, and mind into harmony. Let this prayerful moment become more than words. Feel the light as if it truly lives inside you. Allow it to linger in the places that have been hurting the longest. Let it remind you that no part of you is abandoned, that even in darkness, there is always something waiting to shine. As the light flows through every cell, you are no longer defined by brokenness, but by renewal. You are being rebuilt from the inside out, transformed by a power greater than yourself, yet already alive within you. The power of belief in transformation. Healing begins with a simple yet profound truth. What you believe shapes what you experience. If you believe that you are trapped, the mind and body respond as if escape is impossible. If you believe healing is possible, your entire being starts to move in that direction. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself according to focus and repetition. Andrew Huberman explains that belief and attention activate circuits that strengthen new patterns. In other words, every time you choose to believe in restoration instead of despair, you are literally reshaping your brain and opening pathways for healing. Prayer amplifies this process. It does not work through blind hope, but through intentional focus, guiding your belief into alignment with divine truth. Judith S. Beck shows in cognitive therapy how thoughts directly influence emotions and behaviors. When prayer fills the mind with affirmations of peace, worth, and strength, it interrupts negative cycles and creates new ones rooted in renewal. Belief is the bridge between what you declare and what you begin to embody. Philosophers have long known this. Aristotle taught that we become what we repeatedly do. Excellence, and by extension transformation, is a habit. In prayer, belief becomes a habit of the heart, a continuous practice of aligning with wholeness until the soul accepts it as reality. The Stoics would add that belief in resilience strengthens resilience itself. Choosing to see yourself as capable of healing makes you capable of enduring and growing. Think of belief as light striking a seed buried in soil. At first, nothing seems to change, but beneath the surface, roots are forming, life is stretching, and transformation is taking place. In the same way, when you choose to believe in healing, even when you cannot yet see results, something inside you begins to shift. Prayer becomes the water that nourishes this belief until it grows strong enough to break through. Belief is not wishing. It is the decision to align your mind, soul, and body with the possibility of transformation and to live as though it is already unfolding. The strength found in surrender. We are taught to fight, to resist, to control every detail of life as if holding on tighter will keep us safe. Yet many times, the real strength is not found in fighting, but in surrendering. Surrender is not giving up. It is releasing the illusion that everything depends on your effort alone. It is acknowledging that some battles cannot be won by force, but only by trust. When you let go, you create space for divine healing to move where your own strength could not reach. Neuroscience reveals that constant striving keeps the brain locked in survival mode, activating stress pathways that drain energy and weaken resilience. But when you practice letting go, the nervous system shifts into balance, calming the body and opening the mind to clarity. In surrender, the body relaxes, the heart steadies, and the mind learns it doesn't have to carry everything. It is a physiological relief as much as a spiritual one. Philosophy has always pointed to this paradox. Descartes sought certainty through doubt, yet even he acknowledged that truth requires openness beyond control. The Stoics echoed this by teaching that peace comes not from bending life to your will, but from accepting what is beyond it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, not as defeat, but as wisdom, the recognition that surrender is a form of harmony with reality." In prayer, surrender becomes active strength. It is a conscious choice to lay down fear, control, and resistance, and to allow divine presence to work in ways unseen. Imagine carrying a heavy weight for so long that your shoulders have forgotten what freedom feels like. The moment you surrender, that weight is lifted and your whole being remembers what it is to breathe again. True power is not in clinging, it is in trusting. And in that trust, healing moves more freely than it ever could in the grip of fear, rebuilding inner harmony. Healing is not complete until body, soul, and mind learn to move in rhythm again. Often these parts of us live in conflict, the body exhausted while the mind keeps racing, the soul yearning for peace while the heart is restless. True restoration comes when all dimensions of your being return to balance, like instruments in an orchestra tuning to the same key. When harmony is rebuilt, life feels lighter, thoughts become clearer, and emotions flow without overwhelming you. Neuroscience teaches that coherence between body and mind creates resilience. Heart rate variability, for example, improves when breath, focus, and emotional state are aligned, signaling that the nervous system is balanced. This harmony allows the body to repair itself, the mind to think clearly, and the soul to reconnect with purpose. It is not only spiritual, it is biological evidence that alignment creates health. Philosophically, Descartes spoke of separating elements to understand them, but harmony is the act of bringing them back together. Aristotle believed that happiness, eudaimonia, comes from balance, the golden mean between extremes. The Stoics agreed, teaching that inner order is stronger than outer chaos. When you rebuild harmony within, external storms lose their power over you. Prayer serves as the unifying force. Each word centers the mind. Each breath relaxes the body. Each moment of faith strengthens the soul. Harmony is not perfection. It is flow. It is the state where you no longer feel torn between what you think, what you feel, and what you believe. Instead, you stand whole, aligned, and anchored. In this space, healing is not just a momentary relief, but a lasting way of being. Sealing the healing with gratitude. Healing reaches its fullness when it is sealed by gratitude. Without gratitude, even the deepest transformation can slip away, overshadowed by new worries or future fears. Gratitude is more than polite words. It is an active force that anchors healing into your daily life. It shifts your attention from what is missing to what is present, from what hurts to what has been restored, from scarcity to abundance. In this shift, healing becomes not just an event, but a way of living. Science confirms this truth. Studies show that practicing gratitude rewires the brain's reward circuits, releasing dopamine and serotonin, the very chemicals that elevate mood and stabilize well-being. Andrew Huberman notes that the consistent practice of gratitude builds resilience by reinforcing positive neural pathways, making it easier to return to calm even during hardship. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a biological reset that strengthens the healing already at work in you. Philosophically, gratitude is the highest form of clarity. Descartes sought certainty in thought, but gratitude reveals certainty in existence. It reminds you that even in imperfection, life is a gift. Aristotle described virtue as a habit, and gratitude is one of the most powerful habits a soul can develop. The Stoics also knew this well, often writing in their journals not only about struggles, but also about what they were thankful for, seeing gratitude as the shield against bitterness and despair. In prayer, gratitude becomes the final seal. Each word of thanks is like a thread weaving the healing deeper into your being. It is saying to life, to God, to your own soul, I acknowledge the gift, and I choose to keep it alive within me. Gratitude transforms healing from something fragile into something enduring. By choosing to see your renewal as a blessing, and by nurturing that awareness daily, you protect the work that has begun and carry it forward into every tomorrow. The impactful conclusion, rising whole again. Now that you have walked through stillness, listened to the whisper of your body, released the weight of the soul, calmed the storm of the mind, and allowed light, forgiveness, surrender, and gratitude to shape you, you stand at a new threshold. You are no longer the same person who began this journey. Something has shifted. You have tasted what it means to be whole again, to feel body, soul, and mind aligned in one current of peace and strength. Healing is not a distant hope. It is a reality unfolding within you. Neuroscience proves that every choice of focus rewires the brain, every deep breath stabilizes the body, and every act of faith reorients the heart. Philosophy reminds us that clarity is born from stripping away illusions, and prayer has done exactly that here. It has revealed who you truly are beneath fear, pain, and doubt. The Stoics would call this resilience. The mystics would call it renewal. Today you can simply call it freedom. Picture yourself rising, lighter than before, with nothing holding you down. The weight you once carried has been replaced with strength. The wounds that once defined you now serve as proof of survival and transformation. Your body feels more at rest, your soul freer, your mind clearer. You are no longer waiting for healing. You are walking in it, This is the moment where prayer ceases to be words and becomes life itself, guiding your steps, your choices, and your future. Carry this healing forward. Let it shape how you think, how you love, how you face tomorrow. Remember that you can always return to this place of restoration. The presence that met you here is not leaving. It remains within you, ready to be awakened whenever you call upon it. Rise whole again, confident not only in what has been healed, but in what will continue to grow from this moment. You are restored, renewed, and ready to walk into life fully alive.